Greetings, dear one. Let's take a nice deep breath. I want to thank all those wonderful comments you've been making on YouTube. We know we have almost over 430 or more YouTube videos. Please share those with others. I never ask you to subscribe. I don't know really what that all means or anything, so I don't even know. They're now finding out all the numbers aren't accurate anyway, because they alter them, and they see, because that people don't realize, as soon as you things are connected to a motherboard, you might say, that can always be tampered with, and then all those other kinds of things can be tampered with. So my topic is real value, how to get real value. It's almost like with higher knowledge too, real value, and you want to, what it is, you have to be discerning and to be really focused on what your intention is and what your objective really is. And that means that when you do your research and your studies of whatever it is you're interested in, you want to first of all, in your meditation, your quiet times, you're really deeply within yourself, tell the truth. And it's different. There's different truths. There's people say, well, my truth and your truth. Well, yeah, but and then they say, well, there's no absolute truth. Well, there is absolute truth, because you couldn't have the relative absolute game in duality if you don't have an absolute. Because in the spiritual or the divine is the authentic. And in the virtual reality, or some people may want to call an illusion, or a hypnotic trance, or whatever you want to call the creation, when this is a creation. And you can tell with the creation, because it grows and it goes through, it has a beginning, it goes for a while, and then it stops, and then it comes back again, and it goes for a while and stuff. So you got all these people talking about yugas, got the Kali Yuga, the Dwarta Yuga, the Treta Yuga, the Dwarpa Yuga, and the Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga being the time of when the evil basically is dominant, because you're playing in that world, the bad, you might, the good. You're playing the duality of bad and good. And so people, then you take sides, and people are good, and then they're bad, and then they're good, and then they're bad, and then they want to be good, but maybe they're bad. So it's all the mind. That doesn't mean there isn't evil going on. I'm not saying that. And it doesn't mean don't judge that. Oh, absolutely, let's eliminate that. And you don't eliminate it by fighting it. You eliminate anything you don't want by not participating with it, in it, choosing it, or being part of it in any way. So when we want harmony and peace and joy and everything for everyone, then what we need to do then is to our eating habits, our drinking habits, our breathing habits, our visual habits, our hearing habits, our tasting habits, smelling habits, and all of these, is that these are our physical senses that are tasting and experiencing then the outer creation, the manifestation. And from this to realize we also have spiritual senses of seeing and tasting and touching and feeling. We have spiritual sounds, you see, that are transcendental sounds, that are not cosmic sounds. They're transcendental sounds, because cosmic is also a limitation in a sense, okay? So the true and the real, the source, is absolute. That means love is an absolute. Love is not lust. Love is not sentimentality. Love is not attachment. Love is not jealousy. Love isn't any of that. It's the essence and the beingness of who you are is that love. I have been there, I'll tell you. It was like, because I have lost all that fear and everything, because I've been to the place, and some of you know what I'm talking about because you've been there too. Because I've mentioned to some people, oh yeah, I've been there a few times, or many times, and it's so powerful, because I went deep in my. You don't go out there. You don't need to go out there. There's nothing out there. I mean, come on, it's not outer space. It's inner, and it's not a space. It's inner self. It's inner being, and when you're tuned into the real. the truth, the divine of who you really are, the absolute. The absolute is what's true for all of us. And obviously, that's obvious because if we have human bodies, we even have those characteristics. Now, also, to be a human may not be what we think it is. Who knows? Because it could be a creation. So we're also beyond human, and we're beyond alien. We're beyond, it's not any of those words. It's that we, in a sense, but we have to use words because that's what we've been trained to use at this point, but we're creator beings. We are absolute beings. That means, and then the divine that we would call the supreme source would be the absolute of the absolute, the purest of the pure, you see. And then people say, well, then there's evil, God is evil and good. That's not true. That's a duality that has a Christ and an Antichrist. And then people are choosing sides like that. But the truth of it is that when we're living in harmony with our, what would you say, our true divine nature, then we focus on where we get our value. Has to do with what we're centered on. What do you want? And so the more we're caught up in the outer world of the manifestation, the creation, and we're reacting all the time to what's going on, then we're called responders. We're reactors. We're acting again from a script, you see. So when and then you're predictable, because all of that gets predictable because it can be measured as sound, as vibration, as emotion. But see, feelings cannot be measured because they have no vibration. They have no frequency. They're not in the realm. Because that's who you are, is that the invisible. And yet when I was in that place of absolute love, I was with many. And it was not a color place, but it was like a dark blue side. But it was the love, the feeling of the being and the companionship and the individuality of everyone as well, you see. And and then when I started, my awareness came back to this reality. It was like, oh, I go, wow, that goes in deeply. That's who we are, you see. So how to get real value out of everything, in a sense, or this reality, and all you're doing is to really focus on what's really important, higher knowledge, not knowledge more of the outer, but the knowledge of who we are and what's possible to us, and what's in those realms. And what first got me into that was, that's been my divine experiment. And when I was very much involved in what we call the New Age and metaphysics and all that, there were some steps, and actually a really good teacher, Ernest Holmes, because he was just basically teaching more of the metaphysical teachings of Yeshua or Jesus in the New Testament and that sort of thing. And I got so much value from that. But then I've seen how that so-called New Age thing has changed so much because it gets taken away by this and that. And it's just like any belief system, people then start supporting those beliefs. And the beliefs may have some truth, but it may not have all. And so what happens is people will go to one side of it to say, well, if there's an absolute, there has to be the relative. No, there is the absolute with the A. You are absolute purity. You are absolute kindness. You are absolute beauty. You are, because we are part of that. And if we are part of that, that is our makeup. That is what we are made from. That's where we are unified. And yet we each are individuals. And I don't like the word individuals. It means individual. And that's what keeps people divide and conquer, that you're fighting with. They say the good guy and the bad guy on your shoulders. It's a fight going on with the mind. Stop fighting with the mind. Who cares? As you get real value, the value comes within you, and that wherever you are, I dropped that, good time going somewhere to happen, because you are perceiving the divine everywhere through the manifestation. You're not stopping at the manifestation. You see it and appreciate the beauty of nature. You're not condemning it. And yet what you're really acknowledging is the beauty is a feeling. It is a sense of our own, what would you say, self. So to get the ultimate value, you got to focus on what it is you want. What's your intention? And then as you seek that knowledge, to be able to have discernment as to what's true and what's false. And not to be caught up in any belief system with this group and that group, because that's all taking everybody to focus on this and limit ourselves. And why would you do that? You want all knowledge. So when you do research, you don't go in with a predetermined idea of what you're going to find. But you are so willing to let go of all of that that doesn't even make sense anymore, you see. And so the great value is you.